It was not reassuring to hear Judge Jackson essentially say that if senators want her to be tough on crime, we need to change the law, take away her discretion, and force her to do it. That response seems to confirm that deeply held personal policy views seep into her jurisprudence, and that is exactly what the record suggests. With 5 votes, a majority can do whatever it wants. That's a perfect summary of judicial activism. And nothing we saw this week convinced me that either President Biden or Judge Jackson's deeply invested far-left fan club have misjudged her. I will vote against this nominee on the Senate floor.
It is Friday, March 25th, 2022. Welcome to the National Newspaper Publishers Association's Let It Be Known. There's no surprise there. Mitch McConnell, the minority leader in the Senate, Republican, said he will not vote for Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to go to the Supreme Court. We expect that out of just about every Republican. But first, I hope that anyone with any sense of humanity, any sense of decency, whether you are neutral, like some are, and certainly journalists should be, or regardless of what party you support, all of us got a glimpse of what Black women have always gone through in America. What it's like to be a Black woman in America isn't and never was easy. Yesterday concluded the abhorrently disrespectful confirmation hearings of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, who, if confirmed, would be the first Black woman to sit on the U.S. Supreme Court. And this morning, I'm going to channel some Public Enemy and fight the power. And this is for every Senate Democrat not named Cory Booker, when in the beginning of Fight the Power, the spoken word says, yet our best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops refuse to fight. As a matter of fact, it's safe to say that they would rather switch than fight. They would rather sit there on their collective butts than defend the honor, the integrity of not only this best qualified, overqualified Black woman. Which brings us to this morning's big question. Could Democrats have done more to stand up for Judge Jackson as she faced not questions, but essentially attacks on her religion, her race, her record, and the countless lies and intentional mischaracterizations of her sentencing, and stand on so-called critical race theory? I'm with Sonny Hostin from The View, who said, there are times where you have to throw out Michelle Obama's motto of when they go low, we go high. Sonny said on The View that I think when they go low, we need to go to the earth's crust. Joining us this morning is Cincinnati Herald publisher Jan-Michele Kearney, who is also the vice mayor of the Queen City, and Melanie Campbell of the Black Women's Roundtable, also James Wright of the Washington Informer, and the president and CEO of the National Newspaper Publishers Association, Dr. Benjamin Chavis. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Chavis, I know you are going to be catching a flight, so we wanted to make sure that you got some words in with Miss Melanie Campbell and James Wright. Jan-Michele is expected to join us a little bit later.
Well, look, I just want to give a shout out first to Melanie Campbell. She's the real shero here in terms of fighting not only for voting rights, but fighting for the rights of our sisters and our brothers. And I think that if Black people ever had a reason why we got to vote in record numbers in 2022, it's the disrespect that was shown to the Honorable Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. I think that, you know, to be very honest, what the Republicans did was not shocking or unexpected. These are the same people that are trying to deny Black people the right to vote. These are the same people that try to make sure that the John Lewis voting rights bill does not pass the Senate. These are the same people that block the George Floyd Police and Justice Act, Justice and Policing Act. So, you know, we have a battle on our hands, but Black Americans, we have something that we can do about this, and that is vote some of these people out of office and vote more right-thinking people into office. But I want to yield to Melanie because I really respect all the work that she does in Black voter participation and just overall not only the rights of Black women, but the rights of all people.
Yeah, thank and welcome, Melanie Campbell, the Black Women's Roundtable. Melanie Campbell, what we saw, as I said in the opening monologue, I'm quite confident you'll agree, what Black women have to go through all the time.
Well, first, thank you, Stacey, and I wanted to big shout out to my brother, leader, Dr. Chavis. Just really good to see him in safe travels. I tell you, we knew it was going to be a tough process, but we did. But to witness, you hold out a little hope, right? That maybe this time they won't show their true colors,
right?
But they did, and so I agree with Dr. Chavis that we see what's at stake now, and it's historic. But now we're living it in our time. Our predecessors saw this happen with Thurgood Marshall. Somebody did some history on how they tried to tie him to being soft on crime way back. So it's not new, and we can move forward to even how Kristen Clark was treated to become Assistant Attorney General, and Vanita Gupta, women of color, Black folks, and how challenging it is for us. But they took it to another level with our Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. I love saying her name. That sister from DC and Florida, Sister Ketanji Brown Jackson. And so they took it to another level because it triggered something in me personally, to be honest with you, Stacey. And it just shook me. I could not shake it. I was there Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday, whatever that second the day was, where Ted Cruz, supposedly a senator from Texas, right, who really did this whole dog and pony show with his posters and all that other kind of stuff. But it was a level of the tone and how you even deliver, even when you know somebody's doing some political theater. There's another level of how disrespect can come in your tone and your tenor, and that was started. It was hard for me to sit in there, to be honest with you, but I knew if I yelled out, it'll drug me out. So I stayed and disciplined myself, because it was definitely not about my feelings, because I'm not sitting in that chair, right? But just be able to see, kind of almost like the precursor to the worst day, which was Wednesday. Yes. And to be able to witness that. I was watching it, from we had a phone bank going that day to call in to switchboards to the senators. And so we switched and focused on, South Carolina and everywhere we could, where we saw the negativity that was taking place. But Cory Booker, brought it home. He pulled it out, and he really talked to her, and he was talking to all of us. They were representing all of us. They were representing our ancestors who had gone through even more. And she is the hope, right? That things can be different. Things can change. But at the same time, as a Black woman, as a woman, I was just appalled and angry and hurt and all those emotions. But we're going to keep fighting.
Yep.
Right? We're going to keep fighting. And the Democrats to me, more of them should have spoken up and stopped it.
Yeah. Well, we have a fighter with us now, Jan-Michele Kearney.
Jan, Campbell, I hear you. Oh my goodness. Oh, Stacey, what a 4 days. It's been crazy. 4 days of this nonsense and 22 hours of grilling. I mean, she deserves so much better. They were just downright disrespectful. Yes. They didn't even follow the rules. They went over, Graham and Cruz went over there a lot of time. They talked over her when she was trying to talk. I mean, like, some of the questions were just, they went on and on about, child pornography. And then when you go back and look at the research, her sentencing is the same as all the other federal judges. I mean, she hasn't done anything, differently than all of her colleagues. I mean, they were just up with a bunch of lies, critical race theory. Then asking her about Brett Kavanaugh. She wasn't there. I love when, Dick Durbin says she wasn't even there. Why are you asking her this? Why are you grilling her about Brett Kavanaugh? She wasn't a part of that. It was so ridiculous. It was just a circus. It was.
Well, Jan, answer this question. I know it's a broad question in some sense, but What is it like to be a Black woman in America?
You know, I'm so proud of her, and you know, I'm always proud to be Black and proud to be a woman, but even prouder now. And listening to a lot of law students, for example, and young women calling into all the different radio stations and saying, you know, that they were just in tears to see her up there. I mean, it's really amazing. I mean, it just, you know, it's just moving us forward. We're not there yet, though. We you know, I think it's going to happen. I'm confident, but you know, the circus might continue. We have some more obstacles to get through. But yeah, I'm just so proud of her. And you know, Cory Booker, like, love him to death. You know, like, Cory Booker is just like, what he said was fantastic. You know, he brought me to tears. You know, he brought Justice Brown Jackson to tears, but he also brought me, and I think most of America, to tears. I mean, she deserves to be there. She's so qualified. And there's nobody in this country who's more qualified than Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Well, in a moment, I'm going to bring in James Wright of the Washington Forum. But Melanie, I want to ask you this question. I said at the top, watching The View, Sunny Hostin on The View said, you know, she kind of tossed aside. She said she want to toss aside Michelle Obama's motto for a moment of when they go low, we go high. Sunny said, I think it's a time now when they go low, we need to go to the Earth's crust. Your thoughts on that?
When they go low, we need to punch them. Not physically. We're not talking violence, but we need to punch them. And I think a lot of folks have. One of the things that was hard to do was to make sure that you have a balance, because you know they knew what they were doing, and they wanted to bring negativity into this space, to this historic moment in our nation's history. So you don't want to go down that, what a quote unquote rabbit hole with people who you know are using her as a political football. In some cases, it was some of them. You know, you hear they're planning to run for president, and in my opinion, I think it's even more closer than that. That they wanted to test out different ways they could use messaging around critical race theory and all this other kind of stuff to get ready for this 2022 midterm election that we're in, because you see people voting for things they don't even understand. And so the issues around race, issues around trying to say that she's an other, she doesn't protect our children. She's soft on pedophiles. I mean, to the lowest denominator they went. So we understood that, but at the same time, we had to call it out. You know, and I said it, and I'll say it again. I don't think if she was a white woman or a white man, she would have been anywhere near treated like that. They could talk about Kavanaugh. I was in those hearings as well. And I could tell you, if she had responded like Kavanaugh did to the hard testimony he had, where he was yelling and screaming and turning red and doing, she wouldn't have a chance in heck to have an ability to move forward.
Is that what you really want to say? Heck,
Of course, I love it. That's right. I hear you.
Oh my.
Jan, does Mitch McConnell, we played at the top here, Mitch McConnell's little speech where, of course, he declared he is not voting for it, but isn't he also sending that message to the rest of the party? What's going to happen now that he has come out and early now and said this?
Well, you know, I hope the Republicans will behave, you know, so, you know, the Judicial Committee is going to meet on Monday, and they have to approve her. And so, you know, you need a 50-50 vote out of their committee. We've got 11 Democrats, 11 Republicans. You know, they could not show up so that there's no quorum. You know, that would just be so childish and so ridiculous, but it's something they could do. You know, that's why I said we still have some hurdles to go through. I think it's going to be okay. But then they could ask for the vote in the Senate to be delayed a week. You know, already 20 folks in Congress have gotten COVID recently. So they're probably hoping, you know, I mean, we're only 50-50, you know, we're only 50-50. So we can't afford to lose anybody. You know, one senator had a stroke, but, you know, he's back voting now. So, you know, we just have, I'm sure they're hoping somebody will get sick and just not show up. I mean, I think they'll try everything.
Yeah.
But, you know, we've got to push forward. I mean, they need to really, I mean, what they did was, you know, in this hearing, you know, as Ms. Campbell has said, is crazy. Even questioning her methodology. I mean, she said, you know, my methodology is to go in with a neutral position. Isn't that what we want? and then she evaluates the facts and she applies the law to the facts. That's what a judge should do. That's exactly what a judge should do. They want her to, they want her to come up with, I've got some kind of, theory, position. That's not what a judge should do. I mean, a judge should do exactly what she said, and that's what she's always done. They are, I am so ashamed of those Republican senators. That was just crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, James, I know you are loaded for bear this morning. I know there's a lot on your plate, a lot on your mind that you want to share with these wonderful women we have on this panel this morning. So I'm going to go to you, James. What's up?
Well, I'll just be very quick. It's an honor to be with Melanie Campbell, who I've often said in public is the modern day version of Mary McLeod Bethune and Mary Church Terrell. And it's a pleasure also to be with the Vice Mayor of Cincinnati, Jan. Let me just say that the Vice Mayor said that she was in tears. Well, I was in tears too, because of those ridiculous questions those Republicans were asking. You had Marsha Blackburn ask Judge Jackson, what is her definition of a woman? How crazy is it to have a woman senator who votes like a man to ask her that kind of question? So what really brought me to tears, Vice Mayor, is the fact that they had a great opportunity to ask her some really serious questions. And then they wanted to talk about critical race theory and child pornography. They could have asked her about antitrust issues such as Facebook and Google. Should Facebook and Google be broken apart? They could have asked, what are her views on privacy? What are her views on state security and state power? And those are some very serious issues that she will be dealing with within the coming years. But they didn't want to talk about that. They wanted to talk about sex and all that kind of crazy.
But James, let me cut in for a second, and because you're certainly versed in a lot of things when it comes to politics and the goings on, and you're a historian. You recall Pizzagate, James?
Okay, refresh me a little bit, because this city has a lot of gates.
Conspiracy theory, that they tried to, with John DePotesto's emails, and they tried to link it back to Hillary Clinton, saying that she was, it's that she was a part of this pedophilia ring. The Republicans did, and we remember Judge Jackson actually was involved in that, in the sense that she kind of debunked that. She shot it down because it was just that, a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Right. And see, this is what bothers me about these senators. They hold very serious positions.
Right.
The Constitution says they need to advise and consent on these type of matters, but instead that they're running a three-ring circus, talking about silly things, and the American people are not the better for it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jan-Michele.
I was just throwing in, when you were saying silly, when you were saying silly things, I just was thinking about that anti-racist baby book. Did they actually pull out a book about, teaching your children not to be? I mean, racism is learned. And of course, babies aren't born racist, and they asked her, can babies be racist? I mean, it was so silly. I defy any of them to please explain what critical race theory is, because they don't even know.
Yes.
They haven't picked up a book by Derek Bell, Kimberly Crenshaw. They haven't even looked at it. They don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, the books that Ted Cruz held up, amazingly, Melanie, they shot up to #1 on the Amazon chart.
Right. and I was with Cora Masters Berry, whose granddaughter goes to that school, and her daughters went to that school, and she gave me a lesson in history about about the school that they were even talking about, that came together because they were the one school back in the day that did not segregate. Right. So and I think the Kennedy kids went there as opposed to sending them to other private schools that a lot of presidents would send their children to. So so even bringing up the school and being able to understand that it was Black and Jewish families that started the school, and that history, and then lift that up. And so that's other part of it too, is like, okay, let's go there where you're going. Right, because I think when it comes, one of the things that I also wanted to say is that I had spoke to one of my sisters who runs who's a leader when it comes to dealing with issues of sexual assault, the whole victims community rights community is supporting of this nomination, but they know that. They have those letters. They know that already, but it didn't matter about the facts. And that's how this country is really tearing itself apart, because facts no longer matter. Truth no longer matters. It's whatever I can get away with. This is why Ted Cruz was sitting there. As soon as he finished acting like the buffoon that he was, he went straight to his phone to see how many likes he got and how was he trending versus Tuesday. Oh, how much better did I do? But they can get away with that mess.
And who was the guy from Hawaii that somebody said, you know, we know you're new and you're just trying to get some television time. I mean, like it was a circus. Like
it was.
You're right.
You know,
get some TV time, acting like a.
But like Senator Brooks said, you are not gonna steal our joy. That sister, we're gonna keep pushing till she get across the finish line. I'm gonna feel like I'm right there with her. Right. You know, and so that's the thing is, we got to get, like you said, sister, we have got to make sure that we can't celebrate anything yet. Right.
You know what? I've got
if all she needs is 50+1. I'd love for it to be Vice President Harris to come and just hit that.
Right.
There you go.
There you go.
What side of history do you want to be on? Obviously, you want to be on the side of history of segregationist type thinking.
Yeah.
I have to say, listen, I have to really, really thank our great producer, Greer Marshall, because the end of the week with Jan-Michele Kearney and Melanie Campbell, it just doesn't get any better than this. Melanie and Jan, I have to ask this question, though, and I know sometimes we don't like to play what if, but I got to ask you Black women, if Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, one or two or both of them, go against this nomination, how will Black women react toward them and toward the party itself?
It won't be a good day. It just won't be a good day. I mean, it's like voting rights. The reality is for this, for the party, and I'm not being partisan, just facts. You gotta deliver, and so I'm gonna pray on that and pray that they stay. Everything I'm hearing, they're not against her, but you know, there's a lot of days ahead.
Yeah, I agree. That would be really devastating and really not a smart move on their part. I mean, they're already, I think they're going to lose a lot of support next election. And so they really need to watch their back about that.
Yeah, you know, and
be on the right side of history, like
she said,
get on the right side.
Exactly.
They know she's qualified.
Exactly.
They know she's a fair judge. She's a good judge. She's really fantastic. There's no one they're going to find who's better than Ketanji Brown Jackson, and they need to just admit it. Let's move forward.
And they could see just what we saw, how she was treated. It's like, and they have those same letters too. They know the facts.
Yeah, they pulled out all that, misinformation, and it just didn't stick. It was like Teflon. It didn't stick because it was wrong. It was wrong.
What was it? Let me ask you, Melanie, I don't know if you were there that day. You may have been there when Senator Graham was, on his tirade, but he going on and on about Judge Michelle Childs. What was your thought on that?
I wasn't in the room. I was watching it. That's just, I think that was a setup to where he was getting ready to go, right? At the end of the day, you've already supported this woman, so to set up this whole conversation about who is up for a judgeship right now. She may not be getting this one, but she's up for. So it's not like she is not moving up in the judicial leadership, if you will. So I think it was a setup to me, where even from day one, they were setting up on the first day. It was the theater of saying what you're going to do right, because they kept talking about how we're not going to do that to you. We're not going to do that to you. And I was like, that don't sound good. And it wasn't. And they really did decide. I know some people who were in the room the whole time who saw them huddling to figure out we're gonna go with this gutter mentality that they went to the lowest of low.
And what do you normally hear, Jan, Michelle, and Melanie Campbell, from folks who show themselves to be racist? Oh, I have this one black friend, right? And yesterday they trotted out their one black friend, right? The First Liberty Institute Associate Counsel Keisha Russell, who came, a black woman who testified against the judge yesterday. She is a staunch conservative, a favorite of Fox News. And she started talking about critical race theory, and she ended her tirade by saying they are definitely against the nomination of Judge Jackson. When you see what this black woman went through, and like you have stated, she is the best qualified, and to see another black woman come along and go along with that rhetoric and the racial, if not undertones, overtones that we saw as a black woman, again, how do you respond to that?
Plantation, because that's just what happened to us 200 years ago in slavery. We always got split up, and we know that is the process: divide and conquer. Find somebody who's gonna go against what's right, who's gonna say something ridiculous and put them out there, because everybody, I guess, has a price. So I don't know. I don't know what her price was. What she hopes to gain from this. But that's just how it is. And so we're used to that. They're always going to trot out that one person who's willing to, I won't put the name on it, the uncle and aunt and all that stuff, but you know what I'm talking about. They're always going to find that one person who's willing to be that person. And it's just unfortunate, but we see it happen all the time. I mean, we can go back to slavery and see how, you save yourself, you come on in and you help us, get everybody else under control, help us, get the other slaves under control. And so, it's all, we always have that one person who's willing to go against what's right. And that's unfortunate. It's that slave mentality. It's really hard to get rid of.
The NMPA's executive administrator, Claudette Perry, wrote, "Perhaps she doesn't see herself as black. You are who you say you are." Melanie?
I just ditto my sister Mayor. It is what it is. And you always have those who, we're not a monolith. And you have those who have ambitions and at the back, and it will step over the good of the community to gain access to what they perceive as power and riches. And I think that's what you see.
Well, before we close, obviously we've been asking all week, and certainly there are no two better people to ask that. Your prediction, how this is going to go, will she be confirmed, and when? As to Jan-Michele's point, when will she be confirmed?
Miss Campbell. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I'm sure by, maybe April 8th, 7th or 8th, let's just pick a date, might be it. But definitely let me first by saying, yes, she will be confirmed. And I think the confirmation vote from the committee is going to be okay. I think they will come to their senses and do what's right. The Senate, not sure how that's going to go, but it will at least be, 50-50. And so I'm sure all the Democrats, including those two outliers, are going to come correct. And, the Republicans might delay it, hoping people get sick and don't show up and all that. But I mean, I think by, before mid-April, before tax day, we're going to have a black woman in the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yep.
And I think that April 4th, is the anniversary of Dr. King's assassination. There's some history tied to this, right? And then also right before Easter, wouldn't that be a celebration? A lot of churches are going back in. I think it'll happen, and we're gonna keep praying. But there were a couple of Republicans who just do the right thing, so that you don't have this concern about having to hold on to a straight partisan vote.
Yeah, yesterday we had Denise Rolock Barnes of the Washington Informer on, and she also talked about April 4th as well. James, I see you have joined the party again as we close. James, your prediction, James?
My prediction is that she will be confirmed I hope it doesn't have to be this historic situation where Vice President Harris dashes
not?
into the Senate floor and casts that vote. I hope Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski come to their senses, but she'll be confirmed.
Yeah, she'll be confirmed, and we will be here to bring it to you. We are so thankful and grateful for Melanie Campbell and Jan-Michele Kearney. So great to have you with us to close out this week of coverage of the hearings, the confirmation hearings, the historic confirmation hearings of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. Hey, stay tuned. We will bring you that vote when it happens. Thanks for joining. Let it be known. Have a great weekend. Everybody stay safe and stay well. We'll see you next week.